the black part's going to be pretty easy, and I know that's going to dry fairly quickly on me, so I'm gonna do this brown part first. So for now, I'm actually going to just put that down and work this area up by the head, because it's not that complicated. I just want to get that paint down. So this is just a crappy old half-inch brush. Now I'm going to start kind of cheating a little bit because I know where we're headed with this. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to start to kind of get these just started to work together a little bit. Now I got to be careful because I don't want to get into that white. And there's nothing wrong with getting a little bit of black on my brown brush. Because I got to stay away from that white, but yet I want to have my transition kind of come up. I want it to be somewhat round shaped on the back here, this blend, not just a straight line, because again, it needs to be a shape within a shape, and there's no straight line across the back of the decoy. So that's getting pretty close. I want to kind of purposefully have an excess of paint here in the center. There's a little bit heavy paint sitting on there because that's going to be the blend zone, and I need paint. If it's dry, it's harder to move it around. So I'm going to get paint fairly close to that zone. I'm not going to get into the brown quite yet. So one of the things I was talking about is mixing this black with raw umber, and I've got a really good consistency of this paint right now, and I can just feel that it's going to blend well. If I had just used the Mars black right out of the tube, it would set up on me. By the time I'd get to certain blending techniques, it would start to stiffen up and I wouldn't be able to move it, and then I'd kind of be sunk with what I want to do. So with the raw umber in there, it doesn't set up as fast. So now what I'm going to do is do something that Rob Capriola calls worrying the paint together, where you just start to introduce them to each other. You're not really worried about blending it quite yet. But another thing that's a problem is that you might start blending and you might have this dry zone between the two paints, and that's the place where the paints need to be together, is right at the blend line. You can't have black over here, brown over here, and try to blend in a dry zone. So we somehow have to get these paints so that they're touching each other. And we can start to get an idea of what the blend shape might be by doing that. So I might go back to my brown brush and I might pull some brown back in here too. Okay, so this is the goofy part, right? So I'm going to start this in the black, but I'm going to kind of keep working things back and forth here a little bit. So the first thing that I'm doing, I want to get my brush to have some black on it. And I'm just trying to pick it up a little bit. Now as I start coming forward, it's very hard for me to see. I need to keep working with that arch shape too. I'm not going back and forth in a straight line. I'm working this curve as I start to come forward. I don't want to touch my white. Now at some point I might actually develop a right and a left. So on the left hand side of my brush is browner, and on the right hand side is black. So when I go like this and turn my brush over, I got black on the left hand side, and I got brown on the right. And it takes a while to remember things like that. that, but if I'm trying to work on this a little bit, I can't get those the wrong way. I can't start flip-flopping it over or forget which side of the brush the paint's on. So that's going to start to take some shape here. I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to start bringing it a little bit further forward. So now I can start thinking about how much brown do I want to move back and how much black do I want to move forward. And sometimes you don't know that until you start getting into it a little bit. And, you know, if I feel like I want to have brown coming back further, or if I want to pull some black forward, I can. If I don't like the color of this brown, I can actually bring some black up into it and darken it. So if the trick is to be tapping this enough where now everything right now is kind of a color that's in between the two colors. As I bring it forward, I'm introducing more brown to it, but I've got to keep mixing. I'm mixing and mixing. Now I'm picking up more of the light brown. I'm really getting into the light brown, right? But I got to keep mixing that paint. If I take the brush that's back here in the black and I set it right here, there's going to be a big black mark. But if I keep working it forward, it picks up more of the brown as I go, and it moves that black forward. Right? Everybody see that now? So I just brought it all the way forward with so right now what's on this brush is the light brown color. I can't go back here, but what I can do is I can get so with all this tapping up and down business, this brush has a lot of that light brown on it. So now I'm going to do the opposite. Now I can start working this all the way over. And I'm going to start taking this back. Now if I was good at this, there I just cheated and I moved some forward a little bit because I can kind of see what's happening. If I was good, I might be able to just take this to the end and be done. It doesn't always end up like that. And sometimes I'm stopping in a certain area and hitting it more and moving because I kind of watch the color, and if the color is turning, I'm good. If it's staying light, I need to tap it a little bit more, pick up some more black. What might happen at this point is I might take too much black or too much of this brown back into the black. So at some point I want to stop and make sure that I'm not running that brown all the way back to my tail. And I kind of just did it without even thinking. As I was going back and forth, I stopped and I went dip, 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 dip down the side because it's habit. What I did there is I just kind of blended that curve a little bit forward. I might do the same thing on this side, where now I'm picking up some paint and I might run right down that edge a little bit. Because at some point I want this to be kind of smooth through here. Now, there's too much brown in that brush for me to clean up back here. Now we can use the glare kind of to our advantage, where you can see where I stopped tapping, and back here's the paint that I had the straight lines. And if I leave the decoy dry, you're going to see here's where my brush marks are, here's where my blending stopped, and there's going to be this line. And I don't want to have a line. So what I'm going to do is very lightly, I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to hit that paint to give it a little bit of the tamping pattern. And I'm going to erase some of those brush marks a little bit. And like I said before, when I'm doing this, I might have to just take it all the way back to the end of the tail.
Dry brush, or do you have a little bit of turpentine?
This is completely dry. And all I'm trying to do is erase those differences in the texture.